Today I'm going to talk about a subject other than the MBTI. I'm going to make a series of videos about ADHD, which is a neurologically based mental disorder that I have and that a great many loved ones I know have and struggle with. And I really seek to, by coming out about this more and talking about it more, I kind of seek to do two things. Address the massive amount of ignorance out there about this disorder, and that can be explained. Can be well deconstructed why the ignorance is so wall to wall, basically, in society about this, except for a few specialists, a few people who've done a lot of independent medical research about the matter. And I also want to, because it might help me a bit with some of my symptoms. It'll help keep me honest and keep me kind of more on my toes about how the symptoms affect my life. They affect my performance. So that's what I'm going to seek to do. And I'll cover what I hope to cover in this series. As usual, I'm winging it, like so much of things I do. So I'm going to talk a bit about what some of the objections are to it and what I think are behind them. I'm going to also talk about what it is versus what it is commonly conceived to be. I'm going to talk about some of the symptomology that a lot of people who've just read a few newspaper articles about it, or like just lay press stuff, and who don't have it wouldn't know are symptoms of it necessarily. And then I'm going to talk about why people might want to know about it, and if they think that they might have this, why they might want to get assessed, and even if they don't want to get assessed, why they might want to implement some management strategies that are shown to work in this population. Another reason why I was thinking about it is because I saw Tom Davison, the INFJ, who has an eponymous channel on YouTube. He was coming out about, talking about some of his experiences related to it, what it's like to have that for him. And I just, and I saw some more well-meaning but very, very, very ignorant comments below. And I'm just very, very weary of coming up against this all the time, everywhere I go. And I just need to talk about it. Another reason is why it's on my mind so much right now is I'm seeking to become a psychotherapist. And definitely being aware of a clientele that have ADHD. These are people that I would really like to help, I'd like to help all kinds of people, but this is a patient population that is extremely underserved. I would say the most underserved, bar none, no question about it, of all the mental disorders that are in the DSM-5, primitive as it is in many respects, by psychiatrist submission as well. Yeah. There's just a lot to be done in this area, and I definitely want to contribute to it. And I've been very, very interested in this subject ever since I discovered that this was something I had only a few years ago. I went right under the radar, like lots and lots of people do. 90% of the adults who have this disorder have no idea they have this disorder. What they do know is that they are struggling with a great many things on a daily basis, an hourly basis, many of those days, to perform activities that would be expected to be easy for them to do, and for them to do according to their own will, if they would just apply themselves more. And they know that they feel really bad about themselves because they're not in as much control over their own consciousness as would be expected for someone of their age, etc., other circumstances, other resources they may have as an individual. And they know that they get that they can't explain why it is that they fall, there are all these good intentions that come to nothing, and things that they said they would do a certain way at a certain time in a certain sequence, and they really meant it, and they really wanted it to go like that, and they really thought that they could do it, and they really couldn't see any reason based on what they know about themselves why they couldn't do it, and yet they still were unable to do it, and they couldn't explain it. Since we live in a society that is so incredibly ignorant about what this disorder actually is, there's a lot of blame that is and incorrect assumptions that are made about people with ADHD. Now, this is not to say, by the way, this is not to say that ADHD people shouldn't be responsible for the consequences of their actions or inactions. This is not to say that people who aren't frustrated with them and find it intolerable sometimes to have to deal with symptoms of the disorder, that that there's something wrong with them, or that they need to be so much more patient and tolerant or whatever. I'm not going to make a case for that. This is not an easy disorder to live with, whether if you're the one who has it or the people who are with you who have it also and are interacting with you, or people who are neurotypical and they have to deal with it. It's not easy. It's really not. So if people are frustrated and angry about some effects of it and so on, it's very understandable. But what I want is to offer something of an explanation for why the things that go wrong with people who have ADHD, why they go wrong, in important part. Not just, again, their action and thinking is, of course, very multifactorial, and I'm not discounting that. But I am saying that if you have ADHD, your neurologically based symptoms are interfering with critical faculties of your thinking that you have no control over, naturally. You could have, another reason I want to educate about it a bit and come out is because, and just talk about it, is because there's quite a lot of bad news associated with this disorder. But there are a couple of things that are really good news things about it. And one of those is that, contrary to popular belief, we actually know a great deal about this disorder scientifically. And we have a pretty good idea of what it is. We know a lot about what it does, predictably, and like the kinds of cognitive dysfunctions that it causes. And we know, and this is the good news part, we know a lot about what is effective to manage it. So another reason to get educated about it, for your own sake or for the sake of a loved one that has it, is because there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot that can be done. And it's a very distinct disorder, one of the many reasons people misunderstand it readily. I'm going to go into a bunch of them. There's so many reasons, but I'll cover a few in this video series. One of them is, oh my God, I'm blanking out. Okay, you're watching it happen, like right here. When your symptoms are managed well, when you need to change in your medication and your psychostimulant medication, as I do, I think. Also, I'm very tired this week, so that's not helping. And I've had a bunch of upsetting things happen, and that is not helping either. See the bags under the eyes. When you have this disorder, one of the many things that will be happening to you is that your mind is going to be like a skipping record. You're going to lose track. Your sequencing is off. And you will quite often find yourself in the middle of saying or doing something, and all of a sudden you'll just blank. And there's been some sort of neurological interruption, and you can't remember what you came into this room to get, or what you were about to say. That's part of the sort of meandery style and rambly style of my videos. Is a large part of that owes to ADHD, and that's why when people complain about it, I say that I understand why it's hard to listen to, and it's very annoying for a lot of people. But also that I also have a kind of like, well, you know, if you don't like it, then leave. I do the best I can, you know. It's an organic, neurologically based problem. So it's not a matter of me just trying harder or whatever. I mean, I could organize myself better and plan things better for my videos, but I would still blank out. I would still wander off topic. I would still, there's certain things that wayward things I would still do regardless. All right, I think that's enough for part one, and I'll move along.